Okay, everybody, this is tutorials for the week of August 17th through the 21st. The agenda today is we're going to go over the choice reading survey, like what that is and how it works, and how it changes like the modules in your course. We're going to look at discussion post expectations, and we're going to talk a little bit about this minor grade assignment that's on Friday, this webcam practice. Okay, so first, the choice reading pathway survey. So when we were putting the course together, we wanted a way that we could allow students to have some kind of content, input on what we were reading in class. In an online class, it could be a little tricky, but our textbook is actually organized with these little pathways in each big unit where there's like ideas in American culture or something like that. And so we have in this unit colonization and exploration, which has two selected readings, and we have faith and doubt, which has two other selected readings. And so for each kind of like unit here, we had to take it out of one of the units because the textbook wasn't working for that unit. But in unit 1.1, and I think, 4 of the other 6 units, or the other 5 units, you'll have a kind of like this choice pathway. And so there's links on there. And if you can't find the links or they don't work, if you just open any other link in the textbook and you're in that unit, you should be able to kind of use the left-hand side and navigate down to the Ideas in American Culture posts. And it's the same thing. So the Ideas in American Culture, colonization, exploration, faith and doubt. When you make that choice on the survey, it scores it like a quiz, but it doesn't affect your course grade or anything like that. It just uses like a Boolean operator to change or filter out the content of the rest of your module. So if you pick Ideas in American Culture, colonization, exploration, it gives you a 1 on the quiz, and so you take the 1 pathway. And if you choose faith and doubt, it gives you a 0 in the quiz, and you take the 0 pathway, right? And again, none of this stuff actually affects grades or anything like that. It's just a way that we can give kind of like a true-false logic to the Canvas system, so that it will filter you guys into like a choice pathway. So all you have to do is look into the background, figure out which pathway you want to is more interesting to you or whatever, and then pick that one on the survey, and the Canvas module will update with those readings for you. Okay, everybody's still doing the same assignments. You just might be using a little bit different reading based on hopefully your own preferences. Okay. All right. So in discussions, this is a discussion from this week with one of the first readings in Pathway 1. And so with our discussion posts, I think in an online class, it's going to be really important that you guys get used to the idea of kind of like collaborating and sharing through some discussion. Because in an in-person, like a traditional class, we do work with our small groups, our neighbor, and stuff like that all the time. Even if it's just simple checks for understanding, or hey, does this make sense? Like real quick stuff. And so I think in an online class, it can be quite hard to do that. And so I've tried to make some meaningful discussions for us in our unit modules, so that we have a chance to connect a little bit as classmates, but also develop our thinking through that sort of like collaborative effort. I feel like that's really important. And so my expectations for you guys on discussion posts is that that's what you're using the discussion space for, is to provide and practice developing your own ideas that are original ideas, and that for your replies to classmates, that you're working on like engaging with collaborative community atmospheres, right? And so the goal is that we can kind of learn a little bit better if we kind of commit to working on stuff together. Okay, and since we're distant across this virtual space, the discussion post is, I think, a really good opportunity and a way for us to, kind of feel a little closer as a class, and maybe that will help us make stronger connections in what we're trying to learn. Okay, and so in the bottom part of this first post, you see there's all these like accordion expandables, right? Discussion post guidelines, peer post guidelines, set of starters, right? Scoring rubric, like, I wanted this to be as, easy to do well at as possible. And so there's a whole lot of information in those that'll help you if you feel, even slightly apprehensive about, doing well and being engaged in a class discussion. Okay. And so the last thing that I want to look at today is our assignment for later this week on Friday. This is assignment 1.3, webcam analysis practice. This is going to have a pathway reading in it as well. And so what you're looking at here is the one from pathway 2. And so this is basically like a way for you to sort of practice doing a written paragraph of analysis, but your output is a little different because I want you to practice reading it in the webcam, in addition to kind of prepping it and writing it down, maybe even scripting it all the way out on paper or something. And so the reason that I think it's important while we practice to kind of change the mode in which we share our ideas. Sometimes we'll use video, sometimes we use spoken word, audio, stuff like that. Is kind of like some of the stuff that goes back to the metacognition and the reading. Like if we activate more of your senses while you're doing these kind of critical tasks and really working through core skills, then that suggests that generally you should probably learn it a little better too and have an easier time grasping it and remembering it. So that's kind of where we're going there. One thing that I wanted to point out for sure, pay attention to the instructions at the bottom. You're using Canvas Studio to record it. Or if you record it in something else, I'm pretty sure you can upload it to Canvas Studio. And if you do that, then it's going to be much more reliable in terms of turning in your video product. If you try to like turn in a link or something like that, or pasting a link into a Google Doc or something like that, that is a really unreliable way to turn in your work. And I'm going to ask you to redo it, and you'll be subject to late penalties and stuff like that. Follow the directions in the assignment, use Canvas Studio, and attach your work through the platform, okay? I also would like to see you guys connecting your transcript notes and that sort of stuff. Those I don't mind as much if you're using like a Google Doc or something and I still don't want you to link it, but I'd rather you, export it as a PDF and then upload your PDF, or Word doc or something like that is fine too. I like to see the pre-writing and the transcript in case something's wrong with the video where I like have a hard time, understanding, because like either the audio cuts out or there's some kind of technical problem. I can still at least go back and like look at your idea. Or if you're saying something in your idea that, maybe only partially makes sense, then maybe it just kind of got messed up while you were reading it, and I can go look at your notes and see, see what was going on with that idea and try to help make sense of it. So that's something that just kind of helped me give you better feedback. So all right, well, so that's our week pretty much. You got some reading to do. There's a little critical thinking. There's some writing instructions, skill building. We're gonna do a little audio visual output this week to try to change the mode a little bit and get you some different ways to experience this kind of analysis so that it can start making better sense. Okay. Thanks a lot and good luck this week. Let me know if you guys have questions.